It's a pleasure to be with you, along with all colleagues. I know them. We've been on different occasions with the WAS conference, and I would like to really thank the organizing committee for this conference for giving us the opportunity to present something challenging happening as we eat every day. So you don't know what to eat and why you should eat and how much I should eat and so on. So we already ate, that's the good point. But today food actually was very kind of balanced diet, I can say. And this is what we've been doing here in our refractory at the University of Westminster, which I lead a course of human nutrition there. And we acknowledge that at that certain years, we had a very bad food served to our students during lunch break. And this food was mainly something fatty, deep fried, this kind of things, and that will end up with some obesity problem. And the idea of obesity, if we are to think of why we are putting on weight and why we are really having this big problem worldwide, is no longer allocated to certain community or countries, but again, it's now worldwide. There is a key message here, which is the high excess of intakes. We always put on weight over the weekend. And if you want to know why, because on the weekend we are standing in the morning, what I'm going to eat as a breakfast, and within 2-3 hours, what I'm going to have for my lunch. I need a proper lunch, and then 5 hours later, the dinner, and it has to be served hot and perhaps in a good restaurant or whatever. This is Saturday and Sunday repeating the same, and Monday you are going to work very worried why I should go to work, is too much and so on. But again, you are going out of your home, you are doing physical activity. So if we are to think again why we are putting on weight, high and excess of intake. The intake is high while we are doing less. And what we mean by doing less, that means we are reducing energy expenditure, which is we supposed to be physically active. The message here in UK, you need to be at least 30 minutes of physical activity 5 times a week. That means every day I need to make 30 minutes. And the reason for this 30 minutes, because we are starting burning the fat after the first 20 minutes of physical activity. So if I am to be physical active, I need to burn or warming up 20 minutes, and then the first 10 minutes after the first elapsed 20 minutes, where the body immobilizes the fat to burn it and so on. And therefore, we say at least 30 minutes of moderate activity. You don't really need to be very vigorous activity or intense activity. It's just moderate one, which is your heart rate is increased a bit, not high. Having said that, we have a problem with excess intake and reduced expenditure that's leading to the obesity. And we are having the obesity now moving to the childhood age, where we are really targeting it now in different countries, whether across the United States, in UK, Europe, in different parts of the world. Childhood obesity now is the main precursor for other type of disease, mainly type 2 diabetes. This will impair health and the production economy, and also reduce the quality of life, as well as the cost of healthcare service in UK is £7 billion a year we spend on obesity problem and comorbidities. How to classify yourself? Where are we? If you would like to calculate where are you from BMI, body mass index, just get your weight in kilogram divided by your height in meter square, and you can classify. If the answer to this equation is if you are 18.5 or less, so you are underweight, we need to tell us, so we give you advice what you need to eat. If you are otherwise, if you are in this healthy, I believe most of you are in the healthy range, and if you need an advice to lose weight and increase your physical activity, that's the range that you need to be careful, because this is the precursor for type 2 diabetes. And then this one, obese or more, 40 and so on, perhaps we need to recommend a bariatric surgery. And this is where the bariatric surgery here, that we need an intervention where we can block some of the stomach part or remove it totally, or do a bypass from the esophagus straight to the intestine and so on. But most of the people in this age or in these groups, they are joining a very healthy lifestyle. So, as I explained earlier, obesity is no longer United States and European, but now most of the developing countries are joining, and in fact, they are suffering from the double burden of disease. So they are suffering from, say, for example, vitamin E deficiency or iron deficiency with obesity as well. So they have the under and over nutrition happening at the same time in some countries. And you can see some female in the Middle East, North Africa, they are suffering from obesity. The dark navy color is the obese females, the BMI or body mass index over 30. And those who are just below there this is the column showing that most of the Middle East, they are suffering from the obesity and overweight related problems. Developed country, the comparison here is no longer restricted, as I explained, to the developed world. You can see Brazil has tripled the number of obese children over a period of 27 years. And now in the new one coming, it's going to be almost 4 times or 5 times. So if a baby or infant start with obesity, 20% of obese infant is the age of 1 month till 12 months, 1 year of the age. If we have 20% of obese infants, those move into obese children. And of those obese children, 40% of those obese children move into obese teens. And this 80%, that's the bad news, obese teens can become obese. So it is kind of predictor. If your child is obese now, perhaps it might continue to become obese adult. So obesity is a very bad news to have, but people can cope with it. But certain type of obesity turn to be really attacking the body, and it brings the comorbidity to it. What is the comorbidity of obesity? Obesity can bring also hypertension, heart problem, and diabetes, and some cancer and stroke. So obesity doesn't come free of charge. It comes with all the family with it, visiting one person and bringing all the type of disease with it. And we have in the world about 300 million people suffering of obesity, their BMI 30 and above. And then 1.1 billion already having overweight. And we have 1.7 billion on the verge of moving from healthy weight to the overweight stage. And therefore, it's getting how many billion human beings on this planet? 7 and plus something. So we are almost a third or more than a third of this 7 billion are suffering from overweight and obesity. And this is really something could be alarming if we are not intervening with a solution. So we call it globalisity now. It's global obesity everywhere, every country. And unfortunately, I can see some countries are struggling to bring the obesity rate down. And this is because it's need really, obesity to sort it out, it needs 3 solutions. Which one? The first one is to do physical activity, to be physical active. Secondly is to reduce your food intake, especially sweets and fatty stuff and salty stuff. And the last important thing is to change your behavior. And this is what different textbooks saying, lifestyle change. But without telling me what is lifestyle, it change your behavior. If I see food in front of me in abundance or large quantity, open buffet, I don't really need to have it all on my plate. I just have what I can eat and what I can digest in order to be able to breathe and communicate with my friend and enjoy and so on. But unfortunately, this is not happening. The world has moved into transition. We not used to be as we used to be before. We are different today. And that's what people used to walk to different places by walking. People now reaching from A to B by bike or car or train or flight, and you have your breakfast here, lunch in France, dinner in South Africa, and so on. Life is so simple for us. And all we are enjoying, unfortunately, when we gather, especially in conference or meeting or with family, we have to eat something. And this is really what is making and adding to our daily counter of the calorific intake in our body. And also, we are no longer buying our vegetables, cut it, clean it, cook it, and eat it. We don't. We just I found the number, somebody delivering something very delicious, and we are going to try it tonight, and this is home delivery, knocking your door, delivering a ready meal for you. And this ready meal, it play on your taste palatability. The saltiness making you eat more. The sweetness make you eat more and drink more, and the fatness make you feel satisfied. I enjoy this meal, this is really nice. Let's have it again tomorrow, and so on and so on. And this is what really happened. You enjoy eating and chewing. On the day that children and youth eat fast food, they consume an extra 126 kilocal. Kilocal, that means if I'm going to continue doing this across the whole year, I will end up with 5 kilograms per year extra of what I need to do. So you eat normal, but in excess, you ate something, fast food, that bring you just 126, like a little bar of chocolate. Little bar, 1 cube of chocolate can give you this 126. And this will end up 5 kilograms, believe you me, in your body weight, if you continue doing it. So we move from traditional modern eating. We used to sit down on the table with our parent, everybody saying a story, socializing, eating, drinking, and then finishing the meal. All food is prepared at home. We are enjoying lifestyle. Unfortunately, this has totally changed now, and we're having a new fast food era is starting to show off. So we have brilliantly built an environment that is toxic to many people and to bring them to obesity. And therefore, this is guaranteed that the community is going to be obese. So worldwide, the darker the color here, sorry for the picture being hazy, but the darker the color is the highest prevalence of obesity for a 15 and above years old male. So you can see now this invading the world, the obesity there. So there is a need for intervention here, and we found that the intervention targeting community better than intervention one-to-one. We as a nutritionist, dietitian, and so on, we work sometime in our own clinics that one-to-one. Somebody knocking your door, I would like to lose 5 kilograms because I have a wedding in 5 days or something, so I would like to fit in the dress, so what shall I do? So you start operating with them the very controversial kind of fad diets and so on. But the best things is to target the whole community, the whole school, the whole university, the whole manufacturer or industry, to tell them how people can lose weight without the burden of trying a very suspicious type of diet. We have a case study for the United States of Emirates. We have the highest prevalence of childhood obesity there. And this is happening because if you look at the United Arab Emirates, it's a good model or case study for the country of transition. Anyone from Arab Emirates here? Just, I was going to talk good things, okay? 2 minutes, just 2 minutes. It's been approached to intervene for childhood obesity in Emirates. And now also, last month, we also been approached by Saudi Arabia as well to get involved and reduce the childhood obesity there in Jeddah. This is in Al Ain. If you look at the economical transition over the last 30 years, Emirates has moved from a poor country to a very rich country. And therefore, the gross domestic product has boomed over the last 30 years. And if you look at the health transition, so there we have economical transition always followed by health transition, followed by nutrition transition. So we move from the poor country to very rich country. We move from the health service being just modest or something. Now the health service is very, very luxurious kind of things. You can see there, hospital, health settings, and so on. But we start to see emergence of chronic disease and cardiovascular problem, diabetes, and some hypertensions, and premature death and disability. And then we have the nutrition transition happened. People used to eat certain type of food over a period of time, but now they move to another franchised kind of food. And you can see that people start to put and push on weight. So that's the driving force behind this nutrition transition, that life expectancy increased. We used to die between 50 to 60, 30 years ago. 30 years ago, in the world, the normal average people dies 50 years old plus. But now 70 plus, and my next door is 105. So people are moving in the life expectancy, and this is bringing the nutrition transition online. Economical and technical development, most of the countries realizing the nutrition transition has been through economy development, urbanization, people moving from certain type of life to another type of life, and change of physical activity. One of the most important things I want you to know, be careful with the high fat, sugar, salt diet. Either high fat or high salt or high sugar or all of them together diet. You need to be careful and try to reduce this. And this is by how to try to reduce it, to behave when there is food in front of you. You really need to know, I'm going to do physical activity today or not. I'm going out or not. If you are not going out, why are you having to get your breakfast? Just a cup of tea and something to eat, very small one, and that will give you the energy required till lunch break, and then have your lunch. So we developed the COPE program for United Arab Emirates, a childhood obesity prevention in Emirates, and we published the conceptual framework with Alam journals in 2009, and we implemented the intervention. Our target was the school children in Al Ain, and the settings was the school, and then the strategy was to give them information and increase their intake of the 5 a day, which is the 5 fruit or vegetable, 5 different colors of fruit and vegetable every day for kids. We try to reduce or increase their physical activity to 1 hour. For kids is 1 hour, for others at least 30 minutes. And then we less than 2 hour screening time. They don't watch or play video games and so on more than 2 hours, and decreasing consumption of high fat and salt and sugar. And we implemented through control and intervention program. We having the program was 24 months, including the planning, implementation, and evaluation. We finished the pilot study. Now we're starting the second phase, which is we found and realized there is a reduction in the body weight, but not significant reduction. There is a reduction, and also the most importantly, the behavior have modified. Kids now, if you give him a bar of chocolate, he told you, no, thank you. I would rather, because this will hurt my teeth or dental caries and so on, I would rather to have some fruit, and he can tell you which type of fruits, for example, have vitamin C or iron and so on. That's what we achieved so far in the pilot, and we hope to translate this in a significant body weight reduction during the main intervention. That's the last 3 slides. One slide, I tell you, dietary modification is the most important things if you are to intervene for how to alter whatever we have on our menu with other healthy options. We give it to our kids. The second thing is behavior modification. We need to train them to eat healthy food rather than unhealthy one. And physical activity is the most important one, where you can burn the intake and the calorie you are digesting. There is other alternative for management of obesity, which is they can't cope with the reduction of their intake. They give them tablets, and one of the tablets, perhaps you know, is Orlistat, where it stops the digestion of fat once you ingest it, and you eat fatty meal, and I don't want to be digested and translated into energy, so we give them a tablet of Orlistat and start to stop the digestion and absorption of fat. But this is have side effect to give you runny tummy and lots of other consequences. There is bariatric surgery for those or BMI or body mass index above 40. We do the bypass or just reducing the it's called gastroplasty, which is the reduction of the volume of their stomach. We cut some of the stomach and make it a little pouch, and they eat most of the food is fluidy. So in summary, we need to fight childhood obesity, and the best approach here is the community-based approach which we feel it's working in United Kingdom, United States, and now in the Arab world and the Gulf states. They are cloning some of this intervention there, and we are looking forward to get a good significant reduction over the next intervention phase, which is a scale up, which is going to add it to all of the Al-Ain, which is one of the 7 Emirates in United Arab Emirates schools. If you have any question, please let me know. I'm sorry if I passed this, but this lecture will take actually 1.5 hours. So, but I'll just try to summarize it for you. Thank you very much. Very kind of you.